Black ones.
We are not talking about it in the church.
Those street guys are already engineers. If they're mixing drugs and stuff together, they're chemical engineers.
If you're just like, yeah, let's kill 50 cops just because, that's only a fraction of the Black people that they killed. Wait, now you're talking about my wife.
For those of you who are joining in, we are talking about just the housing in the Black community and owning property, why it's important, and how to get yourself in there.
When I think of financial literacy, I just don't think of the classroom work. I think some of it is practical application.
I'm scared, especially, calling them to arms, talking about poll workers or poll watchers. That is rooted in history of voter suppression and intimidation.
Joe Biden needs to make that a part of his educational platform.
Call that shit out.
I don't see much value in you speaking in tongues, and yet when you speak in English, you don't say nothing for my people.
Many of the reasons why we're dying is because of the conditions we live under that cause our health to be so bad, and that cause it's the food, it's the water, it's clean that shit up first.
When their fathers have prostate cancer, I had like a 150% chance of getting cancer, being diagnosed with cancer. I had a friend that did a raw vegan diet, 20 years remission, had thyroid cancer, never had surgery. I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
This week in Black People Shit, current events and hot topics. I'm your host, Christy Ferris. So with all the drama surrounded around police shootings and the death of an unarmed Black man, we've decided to do another round of hot topics to keep you up to date on what's been going on. With me, as always, is actress and This Is Us contributor, Janora McDuffie. Hopefully you checked it out yesterday because she was on there. And I know, right? You are so good too. And writer and Janora McDuffie fan club moderator. Abdul Majid. You're crazy. I just want to say
Janora?
You're crazy.
Hey y'all.
Good job yesterday.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for the love. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you should have seen Tim was like, she's on, he was just all excited.
Oh,
I
tell Tim I appreciate the love.
Yeah.
And today, before we dive in, I want to show I am back wearing the Young and Woke apparel that we all received from talented Ariel Dunn.
Yes.
So I just thought it was appropriate today to bring back where to put some of all of this energy. Do something positive with it.
I love it.
And
John.
So.
Oh, I'm so sorry. John Robinson, what's up? Let's go. Let's get in these hot topics. Chris G, what's up? Thank you for joining. Thornton for coming back. We so appreciate you coming in every single week. We got Genoa wearing the shirt. I should have went through on mine. I feel like if we had a commercial break, I would have ran and changed my clothes and put it on. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Abdul, you good?
Yeah, I got my National Enterprise and Alamo shirt because I rent so many cars from them. They gave me a hat and a shirt because every month I've gotten so many rentals from them flying out of town. So
yeah,
that tops your shirt, goddammit.
My shirt? You talking to me or you talking to Chris?
One up on your shirt.
What you talking about? This is our future. This is a Black-owned business. This is a young sister, Black girl magic doing her thing. What you talking about topping that?
I know she's like 14, 15.
No, I have the same shirt. I support the young lady, so kudos to her.
So Gary,
Good try.
So Gary Ferris is on here. I can't tell if we related or not, but just because we have somewhat of similar last names, he's, I have two R's in mine. Gary, we're going to talk about the two shootings that not shootings, but the shooting with Dante Wright, the assaults that we had. We're also going to talk about, there's a couple of other things that we're talking about right now. Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Sean Diddy Combs, all that good stuff. So, hey, Mom, my mama's on here. Look at everybody. So let's get started. I know. Let's get
your
started
mama,
with
Cheryl?
everything. Yeah, Cheryl. That's my mama.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hey.
I love it. She got it right too. James, thank you for joining us. And Anthony, thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, share this week's episode. And if you'd like to join in our conversation, just make sure you click the chat and get on in here and chat with us. So we want to start off first with the sad news about rapper, songwriter, and actor and author DMX, Earl Simmons. He passed away April 9th. He was the first artist to debut an album at number one 5 times in a row in the Billboard 200 charts. I don't know what that was. Something just happened. I was like, what just happened? But let me just repeat that again. So he was the first artist to debut at number one 5 times in a row in the Billboard 200 charts, sold over 74 million records worldwide, and he published a book, his memoirs entitled Earl, the Autobiography of DMX. So what were your thoughts, everybody, on that?
It was sad, and it was sort of, he was going through so much. Like, if you listen to his music, if you listen to him speak from his family, from him being home and fighting in the streets and getting into altercations, what have you, he was going through a lot. He couldn't get past the drug addiction. That was the constant thing that he was struggling with. So it's sad that anybody would lose their lives the way he lost his lives, but it seemed like he suffered so much, but how much he suffered, that I don't know if it's maybe possibly I don't want to say a blessing, but you know, when someone, it's like a cancer patient, when they're suffering, you don't want them to go, but you want the suffering to stop. And he seemed like he was mentally suffering for so much. Like every time you saw him, he would just be praying to God for just mercy and to help him. So it's sort of a mixed bag, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Janora, for you?
Yeah, well, first I was a bit confused because I think there was confusion on exactly when he passed. I think we gave a false alarm of when we thought he passed, but I think it happened the day after. And so I think that's always interesting how social media and now the way that we receive information happens, especially when it is regarding somebody's passing. So it still doesn't take away all the music and new ways of expression that he left with us here on this earth. I mean, shucks, I think when his music dropped, it was early 2000s, and I was living in Atlanta dancing on the stage at Club Kaya and Club Liquid Assets. I'm just saying. Either way, when I think of DMX, it's such good memories of that. But I think Abdul pointed out something really important, and that is understanding his life outside of the music. And so I know when we first talked last week, when he had his overdose and was in a coma or in a vegetative state in the hospital, we were talking about his drug problem, just say no, watch your friends, that kind of thing. However, after his passing is when I got a chance to learn more about him and realizing that we don't know what people are going through. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's so easy to point the finger and point out bad decisions that people make, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And it sounds like he had so much pain in his childhood being given away by his mama, and just as one example of things that I feel like we don't realize or don't understand what it does to the human heart. The human life. And I think he was suffering, just kind of like Abdul was saying. And I heard an interview, I think it was with Roxanne Shante, when she was talking about DMX, and she talked about his drug use and the potential, or equating when he got high to the small piece that he was able to find. And so again, I'm not trying to give him a pass or anybody or say like drugs are great if you're trying to find peace, but we don't know his pain. And if that was the piece he found, what a life. And so I think it's just interesting to put it all into context when we talk about people's decisions and people's life choices and people's lives. So God bless you, DMX. You did your thing while you are here. And I do wish you eternal peace now.
Well, amen. So next up, we, you know, the whole reason why we started, Abdul and I started Black People Shit was because I think the very first one that we did, Abdul, was Tamir Rice when he got killed. That was the very first one that we did, and it was something that we felt like we needed to speak up about. We're in another situation where another young kid got killed. Dante Wright got pulled over for a traffic violation. He didn't have tags on, the back of his car. He was actually talking to his mother while this whole thing went down, and Officer Kim Porter supposedly accidentally shot him and killed him. Today, she was arrested for second-degree manslaughter, and she faces a possible maximum sentence of 10 years in prison if convicted. And she is a 26-year veteran, and she resigned yesterday from the Brooklyn Center Police Force. So what are your thoughts? I'll start with you, Abdul.
For me, it's a bit of a struggle, because on the one side, for me, it's Ramadan, so it's a holy month, and part of your practice is, as a Muslim, you're supposed to being and positive and do things to edify your community, yourself, those around you. But on the other hand, it's a situation where this woman, we're supposed to give her the benefit of the doubt that it was an accident, based on the video that she was saying taser, 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 and she had the gun in her, obviously had the gun in her hand from the camera. But it's hard for me to do that because we never get the benefit of the doubt, and I'm sort of don't want to play tit for tat, where if it's FU, it's F, if it's F me, it's FU too. Yeah. But I'm struggling to find a space where I have to give people the benefit of the doubts for their mistakes and show them compassion and mercy and allow the legal system to run its course, when this is a consistent, ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. And this is like, I got nephews, and I got older brothers, and I got, a dad, of course, and all of them are Black, and all of them are tall and masculine men. And I worry about, what's going to happen to them just based off of their tone of voice, how they speak, like the way I speak. I have a somewhat deep voice. Just that is called aggression. Just the tone of my voice is considered aggression.
So I'm glad nothing happened to you today, being surrounded.
I got surrounded by the cops today, because I live in a predominantly white neighborhood. I was coming back from the gym. My music was really loud, so I didn't see what was going on around me. And I look up from looking in my bag, because I put my gym clothes away, and I'm surrounded by the cops. Come to find out that someone called in a shooting or whatever it was, and nothing happened. I don't know what happened with regards to it, but I mean, just the fact that there were a swarm of cops. I mean, there were at least 20 or more cops just everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if I got scared or ran or did something, maybe they thought I was the suspect. Who knows? I'm just speculating. But I mean,
or been aggressive, like, yo, why y'all surrounding me?
Yeah, I was so tired. I was like really relaxed. So I'm like, what's going on? But let's say I had an attitude about the fact that I'm literally surrounded from front to back by a bunch of cops, for no, and I literally just pulled up. If I had an attitude about it, or if I had a bad day, or I was in a bad mood, or I spoke aggressively, who knows what's going to happen, and stuff. The fact that you have to think about that, like, am I going to survive this incident if I make a wrong step? And the fact that I have to be more careful with my behavior than the people who are paid to protect me is an insane proposition.
Yeah. And I want to remind everybody out there that he was pulled over for having expired license plates and an air freshener hanging from his rear view mirror. I just want to make sure people know that, why he was pulled over. And they did not. Oh, and they did not. Oh, wow. Okay, go ahead.
It gets worse than that because they were going to arrest him for a warrant that he had, an outstanding warrant. But the warrant that he had, they never sent to his house. They actually mistakenly sent it to a different house. So he never got the warrant. And the warrant was for weed. He got caught with a joint. So this guy literally died because of a joint.
Right. And they didn't have to arrest him. They could have gave him a ticket. They could have did all kind of things. Janora, I want to make sure that you get your 2 cents in there as well. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. You're on mute.
Yeah, that's really painful to hear, Abdul, because I knew the part where they were arresting him because she pulled up and he had a warrant. Mm-hmm. But when those type of conversations start to creep in, he had a warrant. Mm-hmm. I never looked it up because I didn't want to give any weight to anything except for exactly what happened. I do not think that it was intentional. I do not think she purposely. I honestly think that she did not. What am I trying to say? I think that she really thought she was shooting a taser. And I know that there's controversy about that, but I do not think it was in the same vein as Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. Because I think that conversation has happened. Like she did the same thing. I don't think it was the same. I am not in law enforcement. So I can't speak tactically. I do know that there is a big difference in terms of the size and the weight. I do know that they keep it on the opposite side, on their less dominant side. But I don't know what happens in the blink of an eye and the spur of a moment. However, what I always go back to is that blink of an eye and spur of a moment thought, I feel like is different when it has to do with people of color. Like, I feel like it's less. So do you think she should be arrested and prosecuted? Now she has been arrested. That's enough.
I know. I'm asking, do you think, because you feel like it's an accident, do you feel like she should go to trial for second-degree murder?
Oh, so that's part of the conversation too, right? How in this instance is someone held accountable? Because we have a loss of a life. It is tragic. It is tragic. We have a loss of a life. So how do we hold someone accountable? And again, it's different than Derek Chauvin. And second-degrry manslaughter is what they're trying to bring, or it's what they are bringing her against. And that's when it's an accident kind of ish, like a drunk driver. You hit somebody, you didn't do it on purpose, but there's still a loss of life. Yeah, something's got to give in some sort of way, because I feel like if you know that your freedom is on the line, or that your pension is on the line, or something is on the line, and there is no immunity that is set, then I feel like in that second, you're going to really make sure. Now, again, granted, I'm not in those shoes, and I'm always very careful, because you guys know my wife is a cop, right? So I'm always open to try to understand, which I think we all need to do in all situations.
Yeah, I do think that we do in so many ways. I think we're just tired of trying to always justify and give the grace to people because it happens so often. There's a couple of people on here. Kathy says,
hey, Kathy.
It says, and it isn't the color of a stun gun. Isn't the color of a stun gun different?
Yellow.
There were, but I did see this one that wasn't yellow. So I was curious to know if the one she had was yellow, because it didn't look like it was yellow. The one that she shot. Okay, so then we have that. She also said 26-year police trainer, and she was training someone on top of that.
Oh, wow.
He was black.
Right. Yep. Tangerine said, and what body part did the taser bullet land, and how many bullets was it? Which is
one.
A great
One,
question.
and it was in his chest.
Ah,
Single
okay.
shot to the single shot to the chest.
And then of course, what you were just talking about, Abdul. Let's see, sent to the incorrect address, and then that was a $346 warrant for a joint that he previously pleaded guilty to, and the ticket went collections during COVID. Also, too, the mother was on the phone saying that, was going to explain to the officer why he doesn't have why his tags were expired, because a lot of people were saying that there's a backup at the DMV of getting your tags on time because of the COVID situation. And then someone said the officer who shot Wright had intended to reach for a taser but discharged a handgun instead. How does anyone with training make that type of mistake?
Or for that matter, Thornton, she's the training officer.
Right,
26 years of being a police officer. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Janora, did you answer the question? Do you think that officers should be on trial for second-degree murder?
Look at Tangerine trying to start stuff. Hey, Tange. I did not answer the question. I said that something definitely has to be done. I did not say whether or not it is second-degree murder, but she killed somebody and it was accidental. So that is manslaughter, right? So, and I said that there has to be accountability in place for there to be change in place. So,
yep.
Yes.
My cousin said, I would agree. However, she had amp time and chance to recognize the weapon was different. Yeah, Courtney. And then Tim says, boy, we got some comments down here. Tim said, even if it was negligence on her part, a second-degree manslaughter charge needs to stick and involve some jail time. This will send a message to all cops to think twice when using any type of force. And I agree. And I don't think they should have let her retire. I think they should have fired her because now she's able to get her pension. And I think that should have been taken away as well, make people think about it. And then I think, let's see. Oh, she was waving back. There are a few that are black. Talking about the stun gun. And policy says that you're not to aim taser at chest, right? Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, you guys. Everybody's got something on here. Go ahead.
Yes, and in fact, that is my line sister, Anitra. Hey, Anitra. And she actually started the comment party off in this category when she said that she's terrified for her son's lives and she has two beautiful boys. So I am not a mother, but I can only imagine a parent of a young black boy at this time, how difficult that conversation is. It goes back to that. It makes me think of the movie, The Hate U Give.
Yeah.
Like this is what you do when you get pulled over. And so I don't know.
I think they need
so many layers.
The George Floyd Act that they're trying to push for police reform and it passed Congress and it's supposed to be presented to the Senate, but it hasn't yet, or voted on by the Senate, but it hasn't yet. I think Susan Rice, who's Biden's domestic affairs person, said that she didn't want to put it too soon. It was hasty, and she didn't know if he would get the votes because I think they have a filibuster still involved. So if it got pulled up, the Republicans could filibuster it and it wouldn't get voted on. But I do think they need to end qualified immunity. I do think that they need to go after these officers' pensions when they make mistakes. My issue is I understand mistakes happen. But I remember a couple years ago, and I think we talked about this, Christy and I did a while ago, where a little 13-year-old boy was play wrestling with his sister. And he was doing wrestling moves, and he killed her. Boy was 13. They gave him 3 years in jail.
Yep.
So if that mistake is worth 3 years in jail, shooting a man in the chest for a 13-year-old boy, it's not even an adult. A 13-year-old boy got 3 years in jail for killing his sister play wrestling.
Was he a little black boy?
Yes, he was black. He was black, and the little girl was black.
So I think that also is a reflection of the justice system. I feel like all of these things aren't just the police. It's the police and a whole system and world that is racist or that we have not had. What do you mean? That's not true. I'm talking about from our education system. I'm talking about from the economics of housing, of jobs, of everything, no matter how you slice it. And I think all of the things that we are seeing is a manifestation of that.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but the police unions put these a lobby and pay to put these particular policies like qualified immunity and things like that into play. So these officers cannot get penalized for their actions. And when they do, like in New York, they went on strike. They damn near went on strike in New York when de Blasio, what was it? The police union went against him because there was an officer that he prosecuted or something to that effect. So it is partially their fault because they push back. They have the blue wall of silence, not us.
And you know what? Also, too, that remember the black woman who got fired for stopping an officer from killing the guy because he had him in a chokehold.
Chokehold, yeah.
So they finally apologized and said, you know what, we were wrong for firing you. But that was like 13 something years ago. She lost her job because she stopped a cop from trying to kill somebody by having him in a chokehold.
So you're right in the sense that it's racism is what's undergird our system and our policies need to change. But the police force also has to take accountability for pushing policies and enacting policies that doesn't allow them to be prosecuted. And then when they do get prosecuted, they have a hissy fit and they go on strike and do the things like they did in New York.
Right. Yeah, I got a feeling she'll probably end up getting off. Yeah, go ahead.
We could do a lot of these comments, and then I'll come back to respond to.
Well, I want to move
what
on
Abdul was saying.
Because,
okay.
Well, go ahead because I want to move on to the next thing because we still have to talk about the other officer incident. So go ahead. Yeah, we're not even close. So go ahead.
My whole point is that in what I was saying about the entire system and world is that I feel like when people join the police department doesn't all of a sudden indoctrinate like, okay, you will automatically see black folks as bad. I'm not saying that they don't have policies of over policing certain neighborhoods. I'm saying that people have in their mind who black people are before they even get there. And I feel like we are trying to cure something that needs to be cured in elementary school, but shucks, they're going to these schools that already don't teach who we are or teach a different version of who we are. So I'm just saying it's a multi-layered problem. You are addressing a very important one within the police system in terms of accountability. And I think that this is what this conversation, or it'll be interesting to see what happens with Kim Potter.
Kim Porter.
Kim Porter.
Kim Porter,
like Diddy's
Potter.
I was gonna say Kim Porter with
Kim Porter
was.
Because I said, did I say Potter or Porter?
I don't know, but we don't know who we're talking about.
Here's the one thing, though. It is.
Oops, Kim Potter.
The police don't know the Asian history or community that well, but they still don't treat them like they treat us. Like, just because you don't know a group of people isn't a reason for you to treat people the way they treat us.
You guys got to watch. You have to watch Bastards of the Party. It talks about the history of police.
Bones.
And why there's so many racist cops, because they pull, especially here in California and LA, because they pulled a lot of they got them from the South intentionally because they knew that they would racially profile them. And the history just continued to keep going on. But there is a history of obviously racially profiling and stuff like that. But
what is that on, Christy?
You can, this was back when DVDs were around, so I'm not sure where you can find it online.
Amazon Prime, you probably find it.
Yeah, and it was it made it to the top 8 to being nominated for an Oscar. That's how powerful it was. So you should definitely.
Bones did it. Bones from the guy from Training Day, and he was a bunch of stuff. His name was he did it. It was really good. It was really good doc.
And he talks about how gangs and everything got started.
Mm-hmm.
I want to move to the other cop that got fired. I was like, oh wow, he actually got fired. But what happened was he pulled two officers pulled over someone who was in the military, handled the situation really well to me. And he ended up being pepper sprayed in the face. It became a whole big, huge thing. It actually happened in December. So, but this week on April 2nd, he ended up, this officer ended up, Army officer ended up suing the two cops for it. I think it's Karen. Yeah, $4 million. Karen Nazaro, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant. Yes. So what are your thoughts? Well, thank God he did not get killed. That's number one. Two, I thought it was very interesting to see these cops trying to say, listen, we'll squash it. We'll let it go. We won't take you to jail if you don't say anything about it. And then, of course, he, months later, he ended up filing a lawsuit. So what are your thoughts about that? We'll start with you, Janora.
Yeah, well, they said that because they knew they were dead ass wrong.
Absolutely.
What was really heartbreaking about this one is he not only served his country, but he had on his uniform when this all went down. And it's like, damn, if a brother can't catch a break in the uniform, what gives? And in terms of watching the video, him having his hands out of the window the entire time, him speaking respectfully and not being all crazy. And in addition to that, they pulling him over, them seeing the sticker in the back, which explains the missing license plate. But the biggest thing is, yes, if the brother's in a uniform and gets treated like that still, I am grateful that all of this is now on camera. I'm grateful of the body cams to show the real time, because before, if you didn't have it, what would have happened to this brother, to Lieutenant Nazario? What would have happened in this incident if we did not have the body cam to show exactly what went down? So I'm happy that a lot of these things are being recorded. And I'm glad he got fired, but it is still heartbreaking because being fired isn't the end all be all, and it's not solving the next one. Do you know what I mean? And it's not solving what's really underneath all of these incidents is, and it's going back to what I'm saying about like the society that we live in. We have to pull it apart. We have to start at the beginning. And I'm not just talking about education. I'm also talking about things that we watch. How do you get your ideas about who Black people are? You're watching TV, you're watching movies. And I'm happy to see that we are now going into an era where we can show or are showing the full spectrum of who Black people are and our greatness and our positivity. But shucks. And I know I'm talking and I'm going on a tangent about something else, but it's just really important to point out all of the places that have seeped into the inequality and have manifested into where we are now. And not just education, not just stories and movies, but economics. Like the reason that we got these poor ass neighborhoods is because you wouldn't let us live anywhere else, or it's just layer on top of layer.
Right, which is going to make us go into our next subject, which has to do with the family that had their land taken away in Manhattan. But Abdul, let me let you jump in here and just give us your thoughts. Also, too, I thought was very interesting was that the cop lied. In his report, as well. But go ahead, Abdul. What are your thoughts?
Said he swatted the guy's hand away. I think once they saw that, they should have left it alone, or should have de-escalated it, because he was a brand new truck. The tags were in the window. Once they saw that, they should have asked him for his license and You know, he told them the reason I pulled over because I wanted to be in the lighted area instead of the dark road like they were on. So, but the one cop just wanted to de-escalate it and threatened him and told him he was going to ride the lightning and all that other craziness that he was saying to him. And I think the worst part about this incident is like the incident, because I always equate it's never one incident. So this cop got fired, but he could easily get hired by some other thing because there's no national database. There's no national database for corrupt cops or cop incidents. You look at the incident that happened maybe 5 years ago, the guy, John Crawford in Walmart, who was holding a toy BB gun, and the cops came in and they shot him in the Walmart and they killed him. That cop.
I remember that.
Yeah, that cop got hired. That cop just got hired. And because he was to that police precinct in Ohio, because he was fired from a different police precinct for being overly aggressive and killing somebody there. So this one cop killed 2 people. One of them happened to be. Yes, Janora.
I just have a question. Now, wasn't that part of Biden and Kamala's plan? Is to in terms of police reform, is to have a national database of corrupting.
It's all part of the George Floyd bill and a bunch of other things. But it hasn't gotten to Senate yet, so they won't vote on it. And Susan Rice said the other day that they're not bringing it up yet because the tensions are too high and this, that, and the third. So there's a lot going on with that particular bill. But if that bill does pass, there should be a national database. They'd end qualified immunity. There are a bunch of other things. So, you know.
Yeah, I also think I also want to. The question that I would ask is. When did this cop get fired? Did he get fired like a couple of months ago?
Yeah,
or did he get fired like, last week? Yeah, when the video came out. That's one thing that I would want to know as well. So
and the video only came out because the lieutenant was suing and his lawyer put the video out. So it wasn't put out by the police, it was put out by the lawyer of the case.
That's right.
Yeah.
Of Nazario. Yeah.
Nazario, yeah.
Wow.
So that is the only reason we saw this, because of a lawsuit.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm just gonna take a drink on that one. I mean, really, because it's like otherwise, we're tired. We're just going to continue to keep getting angry, and I have to keep a level, so I don't allow it to get to me. But so piggybacking on what Janora was talking about, there was a Black family that owned a Manhattan Beach resort around 1912, and the beachfront property was purchased by Willa and Charles Bruce, and they used that area to build a beach resort to serve Black residents. However, in 1929, the Manhattan Beach City Council seized the property and just basically took it away. And so, but now the great thing, I guess, is happening is that I think it's worth like $72 million at the moment. And so now they want to give it back to the family and then rent the area out. Because right now it's a park. They want to rent it. They want to rent the space, which I think is interesting, because what if they said no and they're like, no, we want to build something here. They can't do that. You know what I mean? And are they going to give that family $72 million? Because at this moment it's worth $72 million, but that's a whole nother thing. Abdul, what are your thoughts on that?
I think they should get paid retroactively from them taking it from 1921 or 29, whatever you said it was. I think they should get rent from that point if they do decide it and forward. But it goes back to my wife beating the drum for reparations. It means something for one family, but it means more when the whole collective gets something. And I think that if you can do this for this one family, then I don't see any problem with you giving reparations to the rest of us. Yeah, because you understand the impact of your decisions and your deeds. You understand that how it can affect the family. You understand the monetary value of what you took from people. And if you understand it in this one particular case, why doesn't that count for the rest of us? the land that you eminent domained in certain areas, the fact that you put highways and freeways through our community to segregate our communities from other communities, the redlining that you did, the everything else. This leads me, I'm marching forward with reparations. I think this is one step in the million steps we need to get reparations for us collectively.
Janora? I
hear you, Abdul. And shucks, what a surprise that this is even happening and that this conversation is happening. I mean, go county, city of Los Angeles, because it's not often that folks recognize their wrongs when it comes to the history of how Black folks have been treated in this country. Not a but or however, because I'm not negating what I just said. But how many millions of us and our land was taken away? Just like you were just saying, Abdul, a city was burned. Got Tulsa. Shucks, my hometown of Durham, North Carolina. Hey, Ty, was Black Wall Street in our town. And yep, it was a highway that was run right through it. And that's many towns where Black businesses were thriving. But how do you identify each? Do you know what I'm saying? So my idea is more of a solid group overall righting of a wrong versus the individualized. Because Christy, just like you said, if it's $75 million, right? And this conversation absolutely hits on generational wealth and what has been taken from us in terms of being able to create that for our children and our generations to follow. What if they saw the Bruce family? I think it's just one descendant remaining, right? One specific descendant.
I don't know. I know Dwayne Shepard, who is an actor. I saw him speaking about it, so I'm assuming he's a part of the family. But I'm sure that there's many of them because they took a picture of a family reunion and all of them were there.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just say this family is just like, let's smoke this 75 million, y'all. You want a yacht? You want a yacht? Let's just party till it's 1999 or whatever.
Good.
I think there is a wait. Did you say good?
Heck yeah.
At the end
Enjoy
of the day,
life like everybody else.
Don't tell me what to do with my money.
Hey, can I finish my sentence? I'm trying to tell you.
I'm talking here.
That $75 million for one person to do whatever they want versus $75 million of things that they have taken from us. Let's set up a $75 million to pay back student loans, to invest in communities and Black-owned businesses in the communities and find better paying jobs and better.
So we always go back and forth with this. But my question is, what if somebody doesn't have student loans because they've taken care of their business, they have a house, they have it. So you're telling me that they don't deserve to have reparations? That we're just going to do it for all of them?
We all individually, we are the descendants of some folks that went through something that we can't even visualize. Absolutely, we are deserving of something. But what I'm saying is that I do not trust individuals. And what happens is it becomes an individual thing when it's a group. I am only a descendant by the grace of God. And if I decide to smoke it, then I am not paying it forward. I am not paying it forward.
But that's not
our responsibility.
And I'm saying that's why we have a difference of opinion. I'm about the community. I'm about a group effort to move us all forward instead of smoking it on a yacht and parties. If y'all want to do that, y'all do that. And I wait from you from the land, from my own work that I'm doing in my community to lift us all up. Because it's not going to get any better if I'm only thinking about myself. That's all I'm saying. It's not going to get any better. And if I want it better for everybody, then I will make the sacrifice to say, you know what, this 75 million, guess how far this will go in my community? Guess how many healthy homes, how many jobs, how many whatever, fill in the blank of things that we were not given or we were skipped over because of the color of our skin. And I'm not going to be that one lucky Black person that was found to be able to give that money and forget about the 100 other Black people whose communities were also taken from them.
Everybody should get, it's not my responsibility. Go ahead. And Tangerine says, hell, they can delete some student loans for a lot of folks and it wouldn't cost them anything. Go ahead.
Two things. Three things. I'll make it 3 quick points. Point one, you want them to give us to do something different than they did to everybody else. They gave it to the Japanese individually. They gave it to the Jews individually. They gave it to them cash individually. They got a check. Dr. King said in '68, "I'm coming for my check." I'm with Dr. King. The second part is, why is it always the idea that Black people are going to screw over their money when, if you look at the Pew Institute or any other report, Black people save more money per capita than any other race of people? Even though we make less money, we save on an average more than any other group of people. So we are financially responsible to have the money to save the way everybody else does. So this idea that we're going to smoke it away if we get it individually is not even close to being the truth.
That sounds like some white people would say some shit like that.
I'm saying you cannot generalize, right?
But a lot of people's not going to do that. But and to me, I feel like that's some stuff that white people will say to Black people and why they should not get reparations.
Why should not have? And the other part is, I don't care what a person does with their money. If you owe them, if you owe me $100, don't tell me what to do with the money that you owe me. Don't say, oh, if I give you this $100, you can't use it on McDonald's. It's not your business. Money. You owe me money, pay me. That's all it comes down to.
All right, well, we will just
give me
agree.
I know. I hate that we always keep getting on it, but
and it's fine, and it's a healthy discussion. And all I'm saying is, if you ask half the people what they did with their stimulus check, I bet you they went to the mall. And you're right. People can do whatever.
That's not true, because I'm a part. I'm a part of the Black. I'm a part of. I think you've heard of it, Janora. The Budgetnista. A lot of those women that are in the Budgetnista and men, they took their money and actually put a down payment on their houses.
And that's amazing. All I'm saying is you can't generalize. Whether it's me generalizing saying folks going to smoke it, or you all trying to say folks are going to keep it and save it. At the end of the day, you're right. People can do whatever they want to. But just because I'm born into, living in this particular time, there are people who have come before me and sacrificed, people who will come after me. I just feel a greater sense of commitment, responsibility, and obligation that it is used in a way that benefits the whole. In addition
Go ahead. I'm curious to know what your parents, can you tell them the text? I'm sure they're watching right now. Can you ask them the text and tell me what their thoughts are?
Well, I'm sure it aligns with when my brother was on the show, when he just talked about it just being difficult to identify every single person along every single line that deserves everything. Like, no, it's too much red tape, it's too much. Just
says who?
But they did it for every single other race that they got reparations for.
I'm saying you got folks that look like us that might have never been no slaves or come from slaves.
But that's why you got DNA. That's why you got DNA.
And they have a whole principle set out of how this whole thing is supposed to work, set up by economists from Duke and Harvard and Duke, Harvard, and I forgot where the other gentleman's from. UCLA. They have a whole study. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, though. Just one thing, one last thing. Just to push back on the idea that this what people do with their money can't be qualified, because it can be. Because Market Watch did a study on what people did with their stimulus money. And most people, nobody spent it on fancy stuff. The majority of people, I think like 80-something% of the people spent it on their living expenses. Mm-hmm. So we can actively show what people do with their money. It's not like some stuff out the blue. We can show you what Black people do when they have money. It's not this idea of just wasting it away.
I'm not trying to debate. Think that way.
I'm not trying to debate how one spends their money. I'm just trying to say, we should, in my opinion, which is fine, which is again different, which is healthy, is that we should have a much broader community unity approach in terms of money that we are owed than individually.
The Jews got both. They got individual money, and then they got money for land grants and everything, and moving from Europe to Israel. They got. That was collective of the group, but the individuals, they also got money.
True.
So you can do both.
I agree with you. Okay, I want to move on because we can discuss this for like another 5 hours, like we always do every time we get on the subject.
These damn reparations.
No, this is the first time that I was like, whoa, this is the first time I never got like, but moving on, that maybe supports what Janora could be saying, which is the Black Lives Matter co-founder, Patrice, what's her last name? Colors. Yeah, Colors recently bought a plush property for $1.4 million. She bought three other homes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Give the money to the people.
And the Black Lives Matter brought in $90 million in donations last year.
And $40 million the year before that.
And and so they are now probing into where has the money gone to. But she did respond today, and she said, as well as the organization said, that she's out of from 2013 to 2019, she's only been paid $120,000. And that all of this other money that she has came from, deals, speaking engagements.
Deal, yep.
Yeah, she has a deal with Warner Brothers right now. So, that's the thing. So we don't know if it's true, or are people just trying to, throw some salt and everything into her wound, just to dismantle the Black Lives Matter movement. What are your thoughts, Abdul?
I think they do need to look into the books of Black Lives Matter because it's so opaque that no one knows what's going on with regards to the people who are putting out the money, to regards to people who are the bookkeeping. You had the whole ordeal with the father of Mike Brown saying that they wanted $20 million of the $90 million for the organization in North Carolina. You had 10 of the 30. So Black Lives Matter organization, I think there's like 30 of them, but they started off as the 10 core ones. All 10 of them have complained about not getting any money and not getting the fair share of the money from Black Lives Matter. That's on one hand. So they do need to look into the book with regards to how are they giving up, how are they dispensing the money, and who are they giving it to. On the other hand, this woman made some money. So they say that she got $3 million. No one, and the idea that people have is that she spent $3 million, but she might have just spent $300,000. And I can see her getting $300,000 from the book deal and a TV deal based off the fact that she has like 4 properties. If you put 50,000 here, and we don't,
and we don't know what
she did to get those properties.
And who are we to judge if she took that money and I mean her own money, let's say it is her own money, and invest? Isn't that what we've been talking about? Like taking the money and investing and doing everything instead of just spending it on frivolous things. I think people are just cracking up at the fact that she bought a house in the whitest neighborhoods in LA,
She
does have a house in Inglewood. So
yeah. So
Janora, oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, that was it. She had a house in Inglewood, but that organization in itself, I'm not really trusting of for a whole host of reasons. So, but I do think they need to, I don't want to say investigate it, but there should be some accounting done of where the money's going and who's it going to, because I wouldn't be surprised if the company who's doing their books are siphoning off money as well. So 90 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. Janora?
Yeah, I totally agree. All of this could have been avoided if they were just transparent from the beginning of where the money goes. And now you got people being distrustful. Now, shucks, we just spent the whole first 50 minutes talking about 2 incidents specifically that Black Lives Matter is all about, where it stemmed from. These are just 2 new examples. So it's fortunate that this is happening, or that there's this not conspiracy, but some potential shadiness behind the scenes when they are needed again at a very important moment in our history. So I think the timing is unfortunate, but I do think it's important that they are called to show the books.
Yep.
That's a lot of money
with you.
And there's so much work to be done. So yeah.
Ooh, I know that there is a lot going on here. So people have some great comments. I know we need to get to our person of the week. Janor, did you want to just say these out loud?
Oh, sure. Yeah, y'all have just been going in.
I know. I want to.
So we appreciate that. I feel like we've been going in on the screen that we haven't had as much of a chance to hear y'all go in. But I think I'm gonna start with Thornton. What? Thornton says Janor has a point. I think that's the only comment that I really want to.
So does a pencil. What does that mean?
Just kidding. All right. We've got DeJoser. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Sounds like I need to talk.
Without the D. Without the D.
I'm sorry. Oh, Joser. That's a really cool name.
It's like Django.
Just like Django. Yeah.
Just leave.
The D is silent.
Can I just say before we move on? He's the one that did our intro. Just so everybody know, that intro that you guys see, he's the one that did the editing for that. So shout out.
Thank you, Django.
That's what's up. Jamil says, but did she have to get 3 homes, or could she have invested the money into her community? I'm with you, especially if she.
But maybe she has.
Well, if she considers herself on this Marxist type person, communist, it's all about the people in community, fuck capitalism. I think her actions have been not aligned with that, but
But then again, it goes back to telling Black people what to do with their money.
We about to see the BLM chick on the BET show America Gangsta Trap Queen. Is that right, Tange, or is that a joke? I don't know. Thornton says so she's making money off Black people. Huh? Yes. Why does this sound familiar? Ooh, Thornton. We're going to talk about that soon. We have a specific topic about that. BLM should be giving money to the family of victims. Tim says 90 million raised with no transparency only hurts the movement and ruins credibility. That is so true. And oh, hey, Kimberly. Thanks for being in the house. Thanks for your realness, fam. Oh, thank you for being a witness to it all and adding your energy to the conversation. Thank everybody.
Okay, so let's see. I just want to make sure we get some of these from a while ago.
Oh, from earlier. Oh,
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So this is back to, this is Jamila. Sam's, hey, try telling Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, and the hundreds of companies built on the backs of our ancestors what to do with their money. In fact, they are banks. They don't tell anyone what to do with their deposits. They invest in whatever they want. That is very true.
Yes. So, okay. That was actually, I'm going to end it on that one because that is our guest who is coming on. So, as you guys know, we like to talk about and honor and shine the people who are in the community that are doing amazing things to help the community and not taking $90 million and not knowing where it's going. But so with that being said, our BPS person of the week is Jamila Sams, founder of We Do It for the Culture. And We Do It for the Culture is a culturally responsive social emotional learning curriculum embedded in hip hop culture for grades 6 through 7. It features lessons that leverage the power of media sites such as YouTube to allow for real conversations about what young people are experiencing in their lives. So please welcome Jamila. Hi.
Hey. I think you're on mute.
Oh, wait, are you on mute?
Am I going? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go.
All right. I said, I'm sorry. I was back here fired up, typing stuff. It was a very good conversation. So thank you.
Absolutely. First, we want to say thank you for being a part of the show. I'm going to ask everybody to put themselves on mute and then just kind of jump in with questions when you guys want to. Just give us a little bit of insight about, your organization, how it works, and of course, how we can be involved.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. So I think I want to start by just sharing that I'm an education consultant. I've been in education for the past 25 years, and this is my life's work. And when it comes to my current project, We Do It for the Culture, I think I want to share what it is by asking all of you a question. And that question is, how you're feeling right now. What would be a hip hop song that would signify how you're feeling right now in this moment?
What you think, Abdul? Janora? That's a hard question.
That is a hard question. Or the audience, if you have some ideas, type it
no,
so you can.
I know, type it in there. I'd be like, fight the power.
All right,
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So if you guys have comments, if you can think of something, throw it in there in the comments, and we'll use that one as an example. Okay. So, y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Oh, that's good, Tamika.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Jamila.
Yeah. So the whole point of We Do It for the Culture is to show the connection between hip hop culture and our emotions. And if I were to ask you, name a time where you were really sad, what hip hop song would you come up with? Or when you were really angry, or when you're really happy and you're just full of joy, right? And so hip hop and our emotions are directly connected. And so as an educator and working with young people, this is a medium. Hip hop culture is something that most of the young people that I work with in the schools that I consult with, this is the medium that they're listening to. So why not use it in order to have real conversations about what's going on in their lives? And we do it in a way that, is kind of disguised, right? Because if you hear from somebody, whether it's a spouse, a friend, the words, those 4 deadly words, we need to talk. How do you feel? Right? You're like, oh boy, what's about to happen? Somebody might run like, nah, I gotta go. I don't have time to talk right now, right? The same thing happens with our young people in schools, right? When it comes to social emotional learning, and social emotional learning is the process of identifying your emotions and managing your emotions and helping you to become a better person, and also helping you to interact with other people and have healthy relationships. When it comes to that process, a lot of times when adults try to have conversations with students, they say those things. How are you feeling? Do you want to talk? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no, right? But if we show them, a DMX video, they don't know who we be, and we sit there and we analyze that song and we tie it back to who they are as individuals, then you're having a whole conversation about, knowledge of self. You're having a whole conversation about self-awareness, which is one of the first social emotional learning competencies, meaning if you don't know yourself, nothing else is possible. So those are the things that I try to implement within the We Do It for the Culture curriculum. So as an education consultant, I'm in schools, and I primarily work with schools around school climate and culture. When you walk into the building, how does it feel? What are the conversations that are being had? What does the building look like? Is there trash everywhere? Is it clean? How are the adults talking to the students? How are the students talking to each other? Are there values? Are there core values? What's the branding for the school? Yeah.
So let me ask, if for instance, a kid said, UNITY. Mm-hmm. And I mean, are the teachers, are you playing the song, or because a lot of people might not know what that is. I mean, that was like back in the 90s. So how do you deal with that? If they're like, well, this is how I'm feeling, or these are the breaks, right?
So it's modern hip hop infused with the classics, right? And so hip hop as a culture is infinite. It's infinite. The same way we might sit down and read a Toni Morrison book, we might turn around and read, Jay-Z's book. Like at the end of the day, this whole culture of hip hop is going to keep evolving throughout time. So even with your mumble rappers, right? there's still elements of the culture, because it's not just the music. There's still, hip hop is a culture, is a way of life, right? So there's still elements within, even some of the mumble rappers that is related to hip hop culture. So for example, 21 Savage has a whole financial literacy program, right? Most people don't even know that, right? But our students know who 21 Savage is. They may not know, who Queen Latifah is, UNITY, outside of watching her on her new show, which is pretty darn awesome, by the way. But it has to relate to what they're going through right now, right? And we can always tie it back to the culture. We can always tie it back to history. We can always, but that's the hook. That's the hook. I'm not going to hook them with something else by saying, we need to talk, or how are you feeling about what you saw in the news yesterday? It's really about trying to figure out how to hook them. And then once they're hooked, they just open up and they start to have a more authentic conversation. I love
it. I love it. That's awesome. Abdul?
Yeah, but there's not a but. Hip hop is a young person's culture. And if you listen to current or modern, it's considered a young people's culture in terms of who moves the culture forward, who buys the product currently, or tend to be younger people. The artists tend to be younger people. So even though hip hop, everybody loves hip hop from however when you start listening to now, it progresses through the younger people. So how are you using some of this newer music to the kids, because that's what they're connected to? They're connected to, King Von. They're connected to Rondo, Quando Rondo. They're connected to the little pink-haired boy, whatever his name was, Tekashi 6ix9ine. So how do you use that music? Because when you listen to the content of that music, it's murder music. It's murder, drugs, and so how are you using that to help with what you're trying to get across?
Right, because you're still talking about the music, right? And so again, about hip hop as a culture, it's a way of life, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of being innovative, it's a way of creating something out of nothing. So even looking at Tekashi 6ix9ine, the documentary of his life, as I believe it was on Hulu, has so many great references around how he became to be. And so even just taking his life and talking about the duality of hip hop, the good and the bad, he's using hip hop as a vehicle to get out of his situation. However, he's also capitalizing off of hip hop by sending out really harmful messages via social media. And so those are the real conversations we can have with young people using the Tekashi 6ix9ine. We're not going to be cranking his songs in the classroom, but I may take a clip from the documentary, or I may take an article about him, and then we can infuse that into a conversation in schools. So again, the culture is so vast. You can talk about economic power through hip hop. We talk about, Black owned and brown owned companies through hip hop. That's a conversation within itself. So it's not just the music is what we hear first, right? Because it drives it. But hip hop culture is so vast right now. Outside of the 5 elements, we now have fashion and style. That's a part of the culture. Economic power is supposed to be part of the culture. So I was talking with a friend today. Food is part of the culture. And so all of these things are starting to manifest. And I think it's just a matter of having those conversations with students. But again, in a way that is tying back to, let's have a conversation about social emotional learning without saying, let's have a conversation about your feelings. Let's have a conversation about how you're doing. It's more so about taking real life topics and then tying it back to how they feel.
Because I do think a lot of kids in that, in certain, a lot of people really, but especially in certain areas, they don't know how to express themselves. Because I know we weren't allowed to, be like, you better shut up.
Right.
Janora?
Yeah, I'm curious. Is there a song that comes up the most often that the students feel like they relate to?
No, the curriculum has a lot of different tracks, has a lot of different, again, not just songs, but it also has YouTube videos about, different topics. So for example, there's a lesson that talks about wellness and meditation, and it's J. Cole being interviewed by Angie Martinez. And he's talking about stress, right? So then you take that topic of stress, and it's like J. Cole was talking about stress. So whatever he's saying, we related back to, so tell me about, how do you deal with stress? Do you have coping mechanisms to deal with stress? This is what J. Cole does. So this whole philosophy kind of taking it back to the Teen Summit days, right?
I love Teen Summit.
Me too. It's my favorite.
So it's the same concept. Teen Summit talked about all of these important topics that our young people were experiencing, but they did it through hip hop. They did it through special guests. And so it's just a matter of meeting young people where they are, because a lot of these problems haven't changed. They've just manifested themselves differently. But now we just have to evolve and make sure that we're keeping up with what's happening and having these real talk conversations with them.
So how long has your program been? Sorry. Did you want to go ahead, Abdul?
Go. No, you go. I'll go after.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's just a follow-up question.
No, please go ahead.
Since the first one was specific about a song, and then you broke it down in that way, then maybe is there a most popular issue or problem that you see in our current youth? What has risen the most in terms of where our youth need the most healing? Or maybe then or something you're surprised about that has come up in terms of like feelings and issues and that nature. I hope I made sense. I'm sorry.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one that really stands out in terms of popularity. I think a lot of it is really based on exactly what you all did tonight with, This Week in BPS. It's based on current events. It's based on what's happening in real time. And so, for example, something like, police assassinations, police shootings, right, of unarmed, Black and brown people. That's something that traumatizes our kids, right? It traumatizes them when they see it happening. It traumatizes them when they find out that person wasn't held accountable. Yet we tell students all the time, you're going to be held accountable for your actions. But then they see the exact opposite happening in the news, and then they get re-traumatized when it happens the following week. So, these are current events that are happening that, they come to school and they may want to talk about. When they stormed the Capitol, I was getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails. Do you have any resources that we can use? Because we want to talk about this right now in the classroom. So how do we do that? And so a lot of it is really based on current events. They might want to talk about Tekashi. That's in their world, right. That's a current event. And so how do you do that? But pull the lesson out of it, pull the learning moment out of it, because in every situation, there's a learning moment. But sometimes, as educators, if you have a class of 30, you're not always able to, figure out what that thread is. And so culture is really just a tool to allow you and to help you have those conversations.
So I got two.
Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got a 2-point question really quickly. So the current
and we're going to be wrapping it up soon. Go ahead.
Yep. So the current state of hip hop right now is very they talk about suicide a lot, and they talk about anxiety a lot. And then if you look at the statistics, suicide and anxiety are on the rise for that particular demographics. But then you also look at the statistics that these children are being medicated at a higher rate than ever before with regards to Ritalin and things of that nature. How do you confront that? And do you see is it the chicken and the egg situation, or the, is it the suicide making the kids act this way, or kids behaving this way or putting out this music because they feel a certain way?
I definitely think they're putting out the music because they feel a certain way. But what's unfortunate about it, just like a lot of, hip hop, there's no context to it, right? And so they're listening to it, and they may not have been depressed before, but after listening to that, they're like, oh, maybe I am depressed, right? And so that's where those conversations come in about not so much what cause, Billie Eilish, I'm just thinking of somebody, to be depressed. But what happens when you get depressed, right? What goes on when you get depressed, or do you get depressed? And let's talk about what depression is, because a lot of our kids don't know. They just hear artists talking about it, but they really don't know what it is. So let's identify it. Let's figure out, what's happening in your brain when you're depressed. So again, it's a learning moment. And then you can have a whole conversation about how the industry may capitalize off of that. And what does that look like? And then what do healthy coping mechanisms look like? So it's almost like you're building and you're scaffolding off of just the topic. But you can't leave it with just the topic. You always have to kind of get to the root of the topic. With that, if I answered that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My question is, how long have you been, for just quick question in the neck, because I have a second part. How long have you been doing this?
So we do it for the culture. It's 3 years old. It was a paper-based curriculum, and now it's online.
And so the next question is, have you been using the same, have you had a chance to use the same students, and how have they changed in that, if you've done it with them for a year,
mm-hmm.
how has it helped them?
Mm-hmm. So,
or has it, have you been able to see the difference of it?
Yeah. So I'm a consultant, so I don't have a classroom per se. And so clients that have the curriculum, I'm in communication with them because I'm constantly doing, refresher trainings. For some schools, I do observations just to check in to see how things are going. So what I do hear from them is that the material that they were using before was not culturally responsive, meaning it did not affirm and celebrate the cultural narratives of the students that were sitting in front of them. So now with this product, they're able to have deeper relationships with their students. And the students actually look forward to advisory, which is a time of day where this curriculum is typically used. They look forward to that. But before, it was like advisory, I'm gonna hang out. This is really not meaningful to me. I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing or take a nap. But now it's like, we could debrief what happened in the news and advisory. I'm looking forward to that. So that's the greatest feedback that I've been getting from teachers and students. And I just know it's going to keep growing from there.
It looks like you might have just answered this question. How receptive have people been in this area? So it sounds like it's been very, helpful. Did you guys have any other questions? Because I know we need to wrap it up pretty soon.
I just want to know how you came up with this. It's a fantastic idea. Do you have a child, and that's how you all communicate, or how did this idea strike you?
Do you talk to each other through rap?
I am a hip hop head, bona fide hip hop head to the core. And as a young educator in Baltimore, I used it in my classroom then. I was 21 when I started teaching in Baltimore. And I just used it as a tool then because it was just natural to me. Now it's a whole thing. It's a whole pedagogy that surrounds hip hop and education. But I was just using it because I like using it, and I wanted to make sure that our students saw themselves and we can have meaningful conversations. So I don't have any kids. I like to say I have thousands of kids, but none of my own.
I love that.
Well, that's wonderful. I think it's an outstanding idea.
Thank you.
Abdul, because I know see what you guys don't see, as we're watching this, as soon as we get off this Zoom, Abdul gonna have about 15,000 questions as soon as we jump off. So I want him to try to get it all out. Anything else before we jump off? Because you always ask the best questions when we jump off, and I'd be like,
no, not at the moment. So have you had a chance to get any of the artists to participate? Some of the rap artists, some of the people the rappers, what have you, to participate in this?
Yeah, so Mumu Fresh, Mamuna Yusuf, is a part of the project. And so we're taking some of the tracks from her last album and some of her new tracks. Her album is, I believe, being released this week. And we created lessons to go along with some of those tracks. And so she's the first featured artist on We Do It for the Culture.
Nice. And here's her website, just so that you guys get a chance to see what she has going on over here. It's amazing. And I mean, I think it's just brilliant. And we always have to find a way to get to our kids. So congratulations on what you've created, following through, being an entrepreneur, making it happen, and educating and blessing these kids that are out there. And then where's the best way? So, oh yeah, this is a question. Before we wrap it up, everybody, my question would be, I know that schools can benefit from this, but who else can benefit from this? Who can grab this information that's going to, that would help the youth?
Yeah, great question. So parents throughout the pandemic have been reaching out to me because they wanted lessons to use with their young people. And this is for grades 6 through 12. So any youth development organizations, after school programs, your Boys and Girls Clubs, all of those organizations that work directly with youth could benefit from this. I used to run a workforce development program for 16 to 21-year-olds. So even your young adults benefit from a lot of these conversations and resources.
Nice. I love it. All right, well, God, we got to wrap it up again.
I know, but then the other super important question is, if somebody's just like, I need this for my classroom or even for my family, how do they follow up? How do they get the for the culture?
Yes,
this is why I got Janora. Go ahead.
I am on Instagram at We Do It, the number 4, the culture. So they can send me a message there. And then the website is We Do It, the number 4, theculture.com. And you can sign up for more information. The official launch is going to be on August 11th, which is hip hop's anniversary. But right now, schools all across the nation are pre-ordering it for the fall.
Nice. And you said the website, is it the We or is it We?
We do it for the, I'm sorry, We Do It for the culture.com.
Okay.
Number 4.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. Well, with all that being said, Jamila, we thank you for being our BPS Person of the Week, taking the time out to coming and spending your time with us and sharing this information, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Let's see. Thornton said something just happened. Hold on. Just said, thanks, Christy, for putting the show together. Post the link, please. So, Martika, if you can post the link in the chat, that would be great so people can have it. Go ahead. Were you going to say something, Jamila?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. You asked the website, not the Instagram. The Instagram is We Do It for the culture.com.
Okay.
The website is We Do It, the number 4, theculture.com. Sorry about that.
I just got real quick question. So, do white people benefit the same way as black people from this program? Because the culture is technically black.
Mm-hmm. So to be honest, majority, the teachers do. The teachers do. However, the majority of the students where the curriculum is currently being used is predominantly black and brown. So, but that's for now. So ask me that question again in about 9 months.
All right.
Very nice. I love it. Okay, so with that being said, we are going to close it out. Next week, we have a guest. So nice to be able to educate, as we do. We love to bring on guests. Again, you guys, I just want to say thank you. We really appreciate that you come on the show every single week, supporting and just loving on us in so many different ways. So thank you for continue to keep coming back. And anything else you guys want to leave with before we close out? Oh, and if you guys didn't get a chance to see Janora on This Is Us yesterday, make sure you check it out. It was so awesome. So make sure that you guys check that out. And anything you want to say, Janora?
Yes. First, thank you for the love and shout out. And thank you, Jamila, for your work. I think it's really important for us to find ways to communicate and ways to find the truth and ways to connect. So thank you. And ways to channel our energy. So shout out again to Ariel from Young and Woke. This is the t-shirt she gave all of us. This she created out of her frustration after the George Floyd
Do it one more time.
So Young in Woke and Young and Woke apparel. This is the art that she created, and her beautiful family decided to make it into a t-shirt. So this is her line. And again, it's a way to channel our frustration and our energy into something positive. So with all that's going on, let's take it and not stay mad, but be in action to move forward in some way. However that looks is different for everybody, but we can't stay stuck and we can't stay mad, because then it just eats us. And that's tough as Black folks, right? Because we can continually be mad at every moment of the day about something. And especially now with all of the things happening. So great conversation. And just like Christy said, thank you all that tuned in today.
Absolutely. Abdul?
I just want to say Ramadan Mubarak, which means have a blessed Ramadan to everybody who's participating in this year's Ramadan. And thank you, Jamila, for coming on and blessing us with your project.
And I just want to say thank you all so much for having me. This was a really great conversation.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you again. And yeah, you guys make us smile. So, all right, you guys have a good night. Bye.